Hello and welcome to another Lookback video. And seeing as it's Halloween, I thought I'd take a trip down memory lane and look back at some nostalgic nightmare fuel. That's hurting my voice now. All of these genuinely did either scare or slightly unnerve me as a child. So let's take a look back at some irrational childhood fears related to TV and video. We'll start off with a few related to VHS. The first one being something that would happen at the start of a tape. It was when you would play a commercially released VHS from the very beginning, and this would sometimes happen. Yep, that used to really scare me when I was a kid. But what exactly is it? Well, I'm not a technical expert, but according to an online search, it's dual tone multi-frequency signalling, or DTMF for short. It contained information from the master copy for the automatic duplication machines, so that the original video was replicated as closely as possible. Another VHS-related terror was the anti-piracy warnings. There were numerous ones made down the years, and the excellent Oddity Archive once did a whole episode dedicated to them, as well as scary logos, which I do recommend. There was something about them, with the demanding tones of the voiceover, that pirate videos were illegal, and that buying a pirate video would break your machine and ruin your viewing pleasure, and in some cases even fund other illegal activities.
Beware of illegal video cassettes. Check whether this video cassette carries a genuine label hologram. Video piracy is a crime. Do not accept it. Demand a genuine cassette from your video store. Poor quality illegal video cassettes reduce your viewing pleasure and jeopardize future film production.
These ranged from the absolute nightmare fuel.
The pirates are out to get you. Don't let them brand you with their mark. Piracy funds organised crime and will destroy our film and video industry. Piracy costs jobs and will destroy our music and publishing industry.
To the downright hilarious in hindsight.
Well, I can't understand a word.
Train spotting? Not surprised. All talking in Scotch, ain't they?
No, I mean, it's the sound.
Yeah.
It's hopeless. It's absolutely hopeless.
Yeah, no trains in it either. I suppose that's my fault as well. Here you are, darling, $4.99.
Well, the picture's rubbish as well.
Well, that's your tracking, mate.
Well, it's all right on my other videos.
Tracking's touchy.
Be careful. Most pirate videos are unwatchable, and there's no comeback.
Got a receipt, eh? Got a receipt?
But don't be tempted to buy a cheap illegal pirate copy, or you might just hear about it from your children.
Mum, it's no good. The picture's all funny. I can't hear it.
And for the final VHS terror, it has to be some of the idents on the start of the videos before the main programme comes on. Here's a few which I found a bit spooky back in the day, mainly due to the music used. Yeah, those last two always seem to be at the start of every Tots TV or Rosie and Jim video I had as a kid. Next up, we'll go on to some more scary logos, which were shown elsewhere, which is a topic covered quite a lot on YouTube, with numerous compilations dedicated to the topic. For me, the top scary logo was this one, although it wasn't aired on TV, but it still blighted every trip to the cinema in the early 2000s. Yes, just imagine that when you're 6 years old, watching that on a giant cinema screen with surround sound, a recipe for sleepless nights for years. Some years ago, I found a Facebook group called I Was Scared of the Colton Screen Advertising Ident, which had something like 70,000 likes. This has since disappeared. And let's also take a look at a few TV-related horrors. Now, a lot of my channel is dedicated to nostalgic kids' TV from the 90s and noughties, but there were a few shows which I found unsettling. No, not that one. Or that one. But both good candidates nonetheless. The first is the BBC education programme Space Ark, which I just found unsettling.
Intergalactic Garbage Retrieval Craft number 60022, known around the galaxies as Space Ark, finds itself by mistake in orbit around the planet Earth.
It was made back when CGI was in its infancy and just looked very cold, and the characters looked rather freakish.
Discuss a strange pattern he has observed on Earth. As usual, they are waiting for Zippy.
We're not sure where he is.
We have called him, but he hasn't replied.
Where's the fire? Where's the fire?
The other is Come Outside. What? No, surely not. Not Auntie Mabel and Pippin. Well, actually, I enjoyed this show, but there was one episode that sticks in my memory which did genuinely make 5-year-old me cry once and not watch the show for a long time after.
Come for a ride. There's so much to see, so come outside.
It was the episode where Auntie Mabel accidentally locks herself inside her pantry with the chip pan on, which starts to catch fire. Pippin goes to the rescue and, in true lassie style, saves the day by alerting the fire brigade. Who thought that was a good idea for a scene in a preschool kids show? Not great when you suffered from pyrophobia as a kid. I never liked chip pans much after that either. More chip pan related horrors coming up later too. In terms of non-children's TV shows, I did used to like watching Crime Watch, despite it being quite unsettling at times due to the subject matter. However, I think this show tops a list of nightmare-inducing, especially when it comes to the nerve-shattering theme tune.
All of tonight's rescues are true stories. We've sometimes used actors or stuntmen, but everything you see and hear is based on the accounts of the people involved. They've helped us to reconstruct events as they happened.
999 with Michael Burke, which aired between 1992 and 2003, featuring reconstructions of real-life accidents to showcase the bravery of the people involved. Not the best thing to watch before bedtime, though.
Tonight on 999, the passenger who fell out of a jet aircraft and lived to tell the tale. The man brought back from the dead whose heart had to be pumped 2,500 times. And Holiday Hell, the chain reaction that destroyed their boat and the lockkeeper who braved the blast to save them.
Also, I have to mention the BBC game show Wipeout. Now, I do actually like this. It's one of my favourite game shows. However, when I was a kid, not so much. For those who don't know, contestants were given a question and then had to pick answers from a grid. 11 of them were right and won you money. 5 were wrong and called wipeouts and resulted in you losing everything. The bit I found so horrid? Well, the wipeouts themselves.
Which 11 of those are named after places?
Champagne.
Champagne. Yes.
Limeswold.
Limeswold. Limeswold cheese is an invented name.
While we're on the subject of game show sound effects, special mention also has to go to the end of game horn noise from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Talk about a jump scare. Another random one. No, not Martin Davis. Who remembers the ITV Weather Gens? These aired before the ITV weather forecast between 1996 and 2001, and to be fair, looking back, they were a brilliantly creative piece of TV. As a youngster, I guess you could deem some of them as a bit scary. This was the one I never liked, aired occasionally when a storm was brewing. I also wanted to cover scary adverts, but I did struggle to think of ones that creeped me out as a kid. And I didn't want to mention the same old ones like the PlayStation one with the alien Scottish girl, or Phones for You and the Car Park of Terror. I have managed to find two that suffice though. One which I remember, which will be on in a moment, and this one which is a suggestion from my good friend Halfbrick VHS. Check out his channel. It's for the Millennium Bug. You could say it's more of a public information film than an advert, but we'll go on to those a bit later. I never saw this firsthand, but after being sent this clip, it would have definitely scared me as a child.
What sort of person would jeopardize your job? Wouldn't listen to warnings? Wouldn't look into solutions? What sort of person wouldn't make one phone call to find out how to save their company from the Millennium Bug? Is it you? Call 0845 601 2000 today.
And the one I did see as a kid, this nightmare fuel from Burger King.
I've got you new. Hi, Maddie.
To celebrate the new feature film release of Casper Meets Wendy on video, you'll find one of 4 spooky Casper toys in every $1.99 Kids Club meal.
Maddie, you're not good. Maddie!
Only at Burger King.
We move on now to the final childhood nostalgic terror, which is public information films. Now, I know I'm not alone in being terrified of these as a kid. I would often dive behind the sofa when these come on, and depending on when you grew up, you'd have your own era of public information film terrors. If you grew up in the 70s, you'd be familiar with this. And if you grew up in the 80s, you'd be familiar with this.
When friends told Kate smoking heroin would make her feel good, they forgot to tell her something else. How bad it would also make her feel. How she'd start to look tired, spotty, and unhealthy. How she'd lose her friends, her looks, and her interest in everything but heroin.
So I'm going to show you a compilation of ones I remember growing up. The funny thing is, these days I find them interesting. Back when I was a kid, I was terrified of them. I should point out that public information films are designed to shock you sometimes to drive the message home. So if you are easily scared or just generally don't like public information films, I totally understand, as I used to be the same. Maybe best to skip this bit. Here's a short montage of some of the ones I remember from my childhood.
If your chip pan catches fire, don't panic. Just follow these instructions.
If you hit me at 40 miles an hour, there's around an 80% chance I'll die. Thank you, Mummy. Thank you, Mummy.
Leave it now, Lovey.
No.
The smoke and fumes from a house fire can kill a child in under a minute.
Every 5 minutes, someone's badly burnt at home. Nearly half of the most severe cases are children under 5. That's 10 every day.
Get off. Can't do any harm. I'll put it out of the way.
The flame grew larger until it reached her wings and burnt her. In pain, she let the match drop to the ground. Soon the whole of the kingdom was burning.
1. Turn off the heat. 2. Run a cloth under a tap and wring it out. 3. Cover the pan and then wait until it's cooled right down.
Oh, the heat is too close to the curtain.
Behind the door. Look what you've done. Bye-bye, house.
When I was 14, all I could think about was getting girls to notice me. Now, they all do.
Hit me at 30 and there's around an 80% chance I'll live.
Every year, over 1,000 children under 5 are severely scalded by hot drinks. Small children and hot drinks don't mix.
When I was 14, all I could think about was boys and makeup. Now I spend hours putting it on.
Keep your little soldiers safe in the garden.
Don't try and move the pan, and whatever you do, don't throw water over the fire. The effects can be devastating.
Yes, that Chit Pans one has stayed in my memory ever since I first saw it. I apologise if that was all a bit scary. Shall we finish off with a nice public information film? Oh, go on then.
Take care out on the street. Use your head and then your feet. Don't run out like a fool. Take your time and play it cool. If you don't stay alert, you could end up getting hurt. You gotta stop and think, then you'll be king of the road. King of the road.
So there we are, a look back at some nostalgic childhood nightmare fuel. And in the words of Nick Frost at the end of Crime Watch, sleep well and don't have nightmares.